So, in the world of modern SAP development, we're all building things faster and faster. But with all that speed, a really critical question pops up. How do we make sure that the right people are seeing the right data? And I mean, doing it consistently, without fail. Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into today. ABAP CDS Access Control, which is SAP's pretty powerful answer to that exact problem. You know, when you boil it all down, application security really comes down to this one simple question. This is the challenge every single one of us has to deal with, whether we're building a simple sales report or, a super critical financial app. Everything we're about to talk about is designed to answer this one question, but to do it elegantly and efficiently, right at the source of the data itself. I mean, this is the classic scenario, right? It's not enough to just let someone run an application. The real trick is controlling which specific rows of data they get to see. So a sales manager for North America, they should only see North American data. But the VP of sales, they need to see the global picture, all from the very same set of tables. If you get this wrong, you could have some serious data leaks on your hands. Okay, so this idea of controlling who sees what. It's not new in the SAP world, not at all. But to really get why the new way is such a game changer, we kind of have to take a quick look back at how we used to do things and, well, where it fell short. For years and years, the way we did this was by sprinkling authority check statements all throughout our ABAP code. The security logic lived in the application layer, completely separate from the actual data. And what was the problem with that? Well, it was super fragile. Imagine a new app gets built on top of the same data. The developer had to remember to go in and add the exact same checks. If they forgot just one, poof, you've got a major security hole. And this is where the game totally changes. ABAP CDS Access Control represents a huge shift in thinking. Instead of putting our security rules way up in the application, we're pushing them down, way down, and attaching them directly to the data itself. Let's dig into what that actually means. So here's the big idea. Instead of you, the developer, having to remember to call an authority check every single time, the system now does it for you. It's implicit. It's automatic. It happens every single time that data is accessed with ABAP SQL. The security becomes part of the data's DNA. This is huge because it means you write the rule once, in one place, and it's enforced everywhere, automatically. Okay, so how does this magic actually work? How does the system pull this off? Well, it really comes down to three core pieces working together in harmony. Let's break down what I like to call the DCL trio. So first up, you've got the language itself, DCL, the data control language. The easiest way to think about this is you use DDL, the data definition language, to define the blueprint of your data, what it looks like. And you use DCL, the data control language, to define the security guard's rulebook, who gets to see it. And what's really nice is that these rules live in their own separate file, which keeps your data model clean. Okay, now listen up, because this is where a lot of people get tripped up. A CDS role is not the same as a classic PFCG role that you assign to a user. Don't think of it like a person's ID badge. Think of it more like a security policy that's posted on the door of the data room itself. It doesn't matter who you are. If you try to open that door, you're subject to the rules on that policy. It's evaluated for everyone. And the last piece of the puzzle is the access condition. This is really the secret sauce. It's the part that connects this cool new way of doing things with the security model we already have. Inside your DCL rule, the access condition is where you actually check against a user's existing authorization objects. You know, the ones they have from their classic PFCG roles, to build a dynamic, user-specific where clause on the data. All right, so the theory makes sense. We've got DCL, roles, and conditions. But how do you actually, switch it on for a specific CDS view? Well, it turns out it's actually remarkably simple. Yeah, it all comes down to a single line of code you pop in right at the top of your CDS view definition. It's just one annotation, but it gives you total control over how the security behaves. And this one line gives you really precise control. As a developer, your standard choice is probably going to be #check. This basically tells the system, hey, this data should be protected and give me a warning if I forget to create the DCL rules for it. Now, for really critical stuff like financial or HR data, you can escalate that to #mandatory. This means security is non-negotiable. If a DCL rule is missing, the program will just stop with an error. And on the flip side, for some low-level technical views, #notallowed lets you say, nope, no security here on purpose, which prevents any accidental filtering. Okay, but what about that one weird case? The background job that's supposed to aggregate all the sales data and needs to see everything. Well, for those specific situations, ABAP SQL gives you an escape hatch. It's the With Privileged Access Edition. It lets that one query bypass the DCL rules. But, of course, you've got to use that one with a lot of caution. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground, the what, the how, so let's wrap this up by hitting the most important things you absolutely have to remember and some of the common traps that people fall into. First thing, and this is huge, CDS access control doesn't replace classic security. It works with it. Think of it like this. Your PFCG roles are like the bouncer at the front door of the club. They decide if you can even get in, your start authorization. But CDS access control is like the VIP rope inside the club. It decides which specific tables you can sit at, your instance-based authorization. You need both to work together. Okay, I need you to lean in for this one because this is, without a doubt, the number one mistake developers make. Security is not automatically inherited up the chain. If you build a shiny new CDS view on top of a view that's already protected, the security rules from that bottom view are ignored. They don't bubble up. You have to explicitly reapply protection at every single CDS view that an application is going to directly call. And finally, let's do a quick lightning round of pro tips to keep in your back pocket. 1. The checks are totally automatic on every read. 2. Your program can't tell the difference between data that's missing because it doesn't exist and data that's missing because it was filtered by security. 3. The SAP Star emergency user bypasses all of this always. And 4. Remember, these are extra filters, so if your rules get really complex, always test the performance. So where does this leave us? Is this the future? By embedding our security rules directly into the data layer, we're moving from a world where security is an action, something a developer has to remember to do, to a world where security is an inherent property of the data itself. It's a simple shift in thinking, but it promises to help us build much more consistent, secure, and maintainable systems. So what? What do you think?